Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0. This is Grady Hooker, and live on Skype, Josh.
Hey.
Episode 99. That's a lot of episodes. So we'll go straight into whatever the hell happened this week. Gonna bounce all over the room. But the main part seems to be that, for whatever reason, WWE seems to be pitting Roman Reigns against Daniel Bryan.
Oh, I hope against hope they don't go a triple threat route.
They're gonna.
Because that would be stupid.
Mm-hmm. It's literally exactly what happened last year. A face comes in, wins the Rumble, Bryan doesn't, the fans poop on the face turns heel, Bryan somehow gets inserted into the main event, and it's the champion versus the now heel Rumble winner versus Bryan. It's identical. And it's their big angle for their big show. It really shouldn't be a carbon copy of last year.
Yeah. I said when they made the decision, they had to stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they're not sticking with it.
They're not sticking with it. Well, they could still stick with it. Reigns could go over Bryan cleanly. Even though they've been slowly turning Reigns.
Which is the worst thing they can do for him right now.
Yep. They're gonna Ryback him. Yep. Just calling it.
Yeah, he'll lose to Lesnar at WrestleMania, and Seth Rollins will cash in and somehow become a face in the process. Assuming that he survives these little issues on social network.
Yeah, we'll get to the issues.
His fiance.
But in terms of Reigns and Bryan, I've seen a surprisingly, it's probably not the majority, but a surprisingly large group who are saying, just give me Reigns, Lesnar, and Bryan Ziggler, and don't actually want Bryan in the main event. I
don't think any. I've not heard many people, if any, that say they want a triple threat match.
Yeah. Well, if you pay attention to that poll WWE had up of who deserves the WrestleMania spot, Bryan had like 87% of the vote, I want to say, and Reigns only had about 13, which I thought was absurd, but okay. And I also thought it was quite funny how on Raw, Heyman brought up the point that I think we've been saying a lot, is that it's not believable for Bryan to defeat Lesnar at all.
Yeah, and the fans who said no when he brought it up too. Because that was the thing. It wasn't because the question was, do you think he could beat him?
Yeah.
It wasn't that do you want to see him beat him? It's, do you think he could?
No.
And the fans actually agreed with him.
But they still want to see it for some reason. And I can't understand why. They just want to see their fan favorite get beat down by Lesnar. I think if it's going a triple threat route, I think Reigns still's going to have to win. Or something is going to have to go weird. Stick with the singles match.
Yes. Because with the singles match, you have an out. A golden briefcase, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That would allow you to not strap Reigns if you don't think he's ready.
Yep.
You could put the title on Seth and have Reigns chase after Seth while you're preparing him to get ready.
Yep.
For his own title.
There's a lot of different ways you can go still with the singles match and just putting Bryan in another match. I think we've said all we're going to say about this.
Yeah. But you know something? It looks, starting with last year's WrestleMania, it looks like John Cena's starting to step down. He's starting to move out of the way for the new talent to try to become the guys.
Still not putting them over though, but getting there.
He's not in the main event at WrestleMania every year.
Yeah, he had Bray last year.
Second year in a row, he's not one of them.
Hey, you don't know that. Could be Fatal 4-Way. We'll just throw Cena in there. Factory reset. But I'm guessing we're all presuming it's gonna the US title match at Fastlane. Something's gonna happen. They're gonna move on to Mania and have their match there. I think that's where everybody in the world is leaning.
Yeah, but that's I think that's the point that I was making was just Cena's standing out of the way to let guys like Rollins and Bryan have their days in the sun to see if they can carry the company. But he's always going to be there on the sideline, ready to take the ball if, what happened with Daniel Bryan getting hurt, happens.
If they need to hit factory reset and just go back to their default. We'll talk a little about Seth now. Basically, to sum up the story as far as I know it, his fiancée saw not so nice photos of the new NXT diva on his phone, or on his account, and then decided to upload those to Seth's social medias, and then upload photos of Seth, also not so nice, onto his social medias. Am I correct in the story so far?
At least that's the way I would assume it to be.
Okay.
Because it seems like too convoluted of a story to be. They're both facts.
Yeah.
The second I started hearing of this, that was the theory I developed immediately.
Okay.
Was that that his fiancée found the photos on his photo, hacked his account, posted the photos, and then posted them on her account to make it seem like she was also hacked.
I'm hearing a lot of people bringing up that there could be repercussions here, but I think it's just one of those things that can be easily swept under the rug, especially with Seth's position in WWE right now, and just generally ignored. But I guess you can't really ignore anything that's now on the internet. It's the only problem.
It seems to remind me of the bombshell that Triple H delivered when he said China would never be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I think there's a big difference between having some personal photos leaked onto the internet and having yourself in parody films, again, not so nice, about wrestling and stuff. And just being in those types of films in the first place. I think there's a huge difference.
It's just, there could be problems. This possibly could end up being a situation where Seth Rollins ends up losing the briefcase, like Mr. Kennedy did a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more one of those wait and see things. Let's just say he's not the only one out there, you know? We've had multiple
You know what'd be
people.
funny?
What?
He lost the briefcase to Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan used it to win the championship at WrestleMania.
No.
That's what they'll do.
What I've been hearing a lot is that they want it on B&Z. They want Barrett to report on it. But I have a feeling they're going to try on TV to downplay it majorly. So we got to go to the song, but we'll just talk a little about B&Z. So this is his TMZ ripoff?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a TMZ thing.
That's it, nothing
Bad
more.
news zone.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yep, I mean they've gone even further with it because they called it the Bad News Zone. And TMZ stands for 30 Mile Zone.
Yeah, they're knocking on copyright's doorstep. But I'd rather see Barrett wrestling, but that might just be me. He's funny in these backstage segments, but I don't think he needs them. He's going to be fighting Ambrose soon, right?
Yeah. And that's what I think this whole thing's building towards. Maybe not at Fastlane, but WrestleMania? I could see that.
I could see both. I could see rematches upon rematches and Barrett winning the title and then losing it the Raw after. Well, they're stealing the main event segment from last year. Why not this? So we'll move into the classic entrance theme. It's a TNA theme. It's Beer Money, which was James Storm and Bobby Roode. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady and Josh. So Sting has answered Triple H's challenge, and he accepts.
Yep, he's going to be at Fastlane to confront Triple H.
And probably not say anything. And probably set a match for Mania.
Yeah. It's definitely going to announce the match at WrestleMania. But I could see a situation where he actually does talk.
It really doesn't matter at this point. I think the fans will eat up anything he does, whether it's a video package with a fake Sting in the ring, or whether it's just him walking out onto the stage, whether it's him coming out and dropping Triple H. They're going to like it anyway.
And you know what? This is a much better story than what Undertaker Sting would have been.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes a lot more sense because they were both the top guys at the time when WCW died.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, at that point, Rock and Austin were pretty much at the end of their ropes.
Says the guy who's still main event in WrestleManias.
Yeah. But it was just... But it was just and Triple H had developed into the heel.
Yeah, we're in that period just between the Attitude Era heading into the Ruthless Aggression, where you started to put more effort on Triple H and push him ahead.
But the story that they've been telling has just been pretty good, and I don't think they could have touched that with Undertaker.
I don't think there would have been a storyline if it was Undertaker. I think they just would have come out and had a match. I don't see a possible storyline other than all the fans wanted it. Why don't we do it? Sure, we'll do it.
Yeah, it'd be the situation where Triple H and Undertaker came out and said nothing, but just pointed at the WrestleMania sign.
But talking about Undertaker, Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, it definitely seems like we're going to get Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker.
He's calling him out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, it fits The Undertaker. I think a lot of the fans want it to be The Undertaker, so they're forcing that glass shoe on. But, they could still swerve us and it not be The Undertaker. You never know. Especially with WWE.
Yep, maybe if we do get the Undertaker match versus Bray, we finally get to find out who such Sister Abigail is.
Fair enough. That's a mystery that will just never be solved.
And the Undertaker brings back Sister Abigail.
No, I wouldn't be. The Undertaker's a weird situation here, where I want him to stop, but I want to see his last match being like a good match. So I'm caught in between a rock and a hard place. In terms of, that match with Lesnar was okay, but it was essentially a burial, and I'd rather see him go out with a decent match, even if he loses to Bray, a decent match.
Yeah, I think it was that match was definitely hurt by the fact that Undertaker suffered a concussion so early on the match, and Brock Lesnar had to carry the match.
Yeah, it was never, from that point on, it was never going to be a 5-star best match ever. But
I think if the Undertaker hadn't gotten hurt,
maybe.
I think it would have been a great match, and people would have been more acceptant of the streak ending.
But in terms of Bray Undertaker, I also think that Undertaker should retire at this point. So I'm a little bit in both. And yeah.
How's this for a finish for you?
Oh, gonna suggest something mystical.
They knock each other out and they're counted out.
No.
They have a great match, and they end up getting counted out.
No.
So that prevents them both from taking a loss.
No. Especially not if it's going to be his last match. Let's not end his final match like that. No. I can't even think of a counter finish at this point. Give me a month, and I'll rewrite it 18 times. But yeah, just before we go into the current theme, we'll just mention a couple of the other WWE things that are happening. You've got Cody Rhodes going absolutely insane.
Don't call him Cody!
I'm sorry. This is coming from Dustin. But yeah. Who'd think that Goldust would be the normal one?
We're getting this match 2 years too late.
Okay. In terms of when
nobody cares now.
Yeah. The people seem to care when Goldust first suggested it. And then he came back, and then they ended up teaming, and now they're finally going to break up. And Goldust probably right off.
Break up, and then Cody Rhodes became Stardust.
Yeah.
And that was that.
Will he be Stardust at WrestleMania, though?
I have no clue.
I do see...
But if he does, he needs to come out and see Alex Colors. just to rib the crowd.
Okay. I see that if they're going to do it, and they're going to have their match at Mania, that it's possibly Goldust's last in this run. Possibly overall. But I don't know. Maybe some weird retirement-y type match where he tries to convince him to retire the Stardust thing. Who knows? So we'll go into our current entrance theme. It's another TNA one. We seem to be on a TNA theme today. James Storm and his new stable in TNA. What is it? The Revolution? I think it's the Revolution. And it's called Cut You Down. And you're back with Wrestling Roundup, FreeFM 89.0, Grady and Josh. So, you still watching TNA, or have you given up?
I'm still watching it, but it's getting harder to do it every week.
See, it's on the bottom of my list, so I don't often get around to it. Lately, I've only really been watching Raw and NXT. But from what I'm hearing from it, as we were talking about last week, they're back to basics.
Yeah, it's definitely back to everything that they've been doing.
And I don't know, what's their viewership numbers?
Lockdown was an okay show. For a show that was supposed to be a pay-per-view for free TV, they didn't really do a lot with it. It was basically by the books booking.
Yeah. I think they're trying to play it safe at this point, because all of the risks they tried to take back in what I'm going to class as old TNA, they never seem to pan out really well. So I think with this new station, they're going to just try and coast for a little while. And I don't think the audience that stayed with them since the old TNA don't want to see them coasting. They don't want to see that. They want to see back to what they had before. And the new viewers might be okay with the coasting because they're casual viewers. They just tune in because it's on that channel. but the actual wrestling fans want them to hurry up and get back to their, what is it? What's the like weird cage match they have? It's like people have to climb to the center of the cage, and all of those like X Division matches and the weird stuff. Yeah, what makes TNA different? And right now they're just vanilla, and we want them to be hokey pokey, or goody gumdrops, or other nice flavors that have bits. Also, I realize I don't think America has hokey pokey ice cream. It's got like the stuff that's inside a crunchy bar, so like little caramel drops, and they're solidified and they're in vanilla. New Zealand fact for you. But yeah, I could take a stab, but I don't think I could tell you who their current champ is. It's either Lashley or Rude, I think. I want to say Rude. Is that right?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's Lashley.
I was close.
At least for about 3 weeks.
Great. Can't I just class it as the Beatdown Clan because they stole it?
No. They didn't win the championship. Lashley loses the championship on a future episode.
Oh, yeah. I give up. We'll just talk a little
Kurt
about...
Angle wins the championship on a future episode.
Okay. Weird, but okay. NXT, just because they have a special coming up it would have aired by the time we hear. Their special just aired. It was a great special, amazing main event, and great undercard. But we'll just talk a little about some of the matches, if I remember them correctly off the top of my head. I know our main event is Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, which should be a great match.
For the title.
I know we've got Baylor versus Neville, which again should be a great match. And then I know we've got Itami versus Breeze. I think that was announced.
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, I'm going to have to Google this quickly.
As far as I'm aware of, there's no match for either Itami or Breeze.
I've heard it somewhere. I'm gonna look. Do we have a tag? I know we have a Divas one. And we have a Fatal 4-Way with them. With Bayley, Charlotte, Sasha, and the other chick, Becky. And I wonder who you're going for. Do you want the title to be hugged?
Yeah, I want Bayley to win the championship.
And I think... Oh, here we go. It loaded faster. Yep, we got a tag team title match. Blake and Murphy versus the Lucha Dragons. Yep, Breeze versus Itami's announced. And we've also got Baron Corbin versus Bull Dempsey in a no DQ match.
When would that have been? It was never announced on NXT.
It's on Wikipedia. Wikipedia don't lie. I don't know. Maybe it was announced on WWE.com. I read it somewhere. We're out of time anyway, so it's been great talking to you. So you can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, and our Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio, or our website, wrestlingroundup.host22.com, wrestlingroundup.host22.com, and I'll see you next week.